Welcome to the Personal Development Essentials podcast. Today I have the real pleasure to be speaking with an exceptional person. He is an award-winning orthodontist in Austin, Texas, and he's also a life coach, a knowledge broker, and he has a passion to spread happiness. So, RJ Jackson, it's a pleasure to have you to the show. Welcome.
Thanks. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here with you.
Ajay, I'll just share with everyone how we met. We met virtually. Of course, we haven't met in person yet, but it was through the KBB course, the Knowledge Business Blueprint course. So I want I want to start by asking you to share with us a little bit of your background, of who you are, and how you came to be who you are today. And I mean mainly in
Yeah,
terms of, personal development, but also of what you do.
yep. So I'm an orthodontist. And the way I became an orthodontist is really started in high school. I remember that my passion was I wanted everyone to be happy. So in high school, I wasn't necessarily funny to make people laugh, but my goal was to make sure everybody was happy. I would always check on everyone, give compliments, and just do whatever I can to make sure everyone is having a good day. So at the time, sorry about that. At the time, I was junior year trying to decide on which direction I was going to pursue for college. And I literally told my counselor, hey, I want to spread happiness.
Mm-hmm.
So she told me I had pretty much two options. I could be a comedian, but I'm not funny at all. So I knew that wasn't going to work. Or I could be an orthodontist. So then I just took the orthodontics path. That didn't require any comedy. And that's how I became an orthodontist.
Okay.
And so, yeah. And so I've been orthodontist about 6 years, opened my practice, had amazing success. And, once you are pursuing a goal, and at the beginning of that goal, you're super excited, you're super focused. And then you go through the transition of everything that comes with, pursuing a big goal, ups and downs. But then once you reach, your the peak of the mountain in a sense, you reach success. You're always looking for what's next. It's just human nature to say, okay, how much of an impact, how much more of an impact I can make. And that's pretty much what happened to me. It's like, my orthodontic practice is going amazingly well. And I started to think, I can do more.
Mm-hmm.
I'm spreading happiness, creating smiles, but I want to do more. So that actually led me to becoming a life coach. And what sparked that transition was when it actually happened 3 times in a row. And this is something that, never happens. Because, my philosophy is if something happens once, it's random, right? If it happens twice, it's coincidence. But if it happens 3 times, like I'm paying attention to that. I think it's something more.
Mm-hmm.
But 3 times, I had 3 patients who we removed the braces. And after I removed braces, I called the parents a week later just to check on them, see how they're doing. And all the time I get, oh, they're so happy. Everything is great. But 3 times in a row, it was like, oh, it's okay. My teen is getting bullied, or my teen has just been so unhappy. And not necessarily with a smile, but it's more so it's just social issues at school. So at that point, I'm like, yes, I have to do more. So then I started to think, how can I help create smiles on the inside? And that's when I pursued the path of a teen life coach.
That's beautiful, and that was actually how I found out about you, because you had posted a video that you were saying that as an orthodontist, you can create smiles on the outside, but as a life coach, you can create smiles on the inside. And that is something exceptional. I mean, I loved the concept of that, because, yeah, our smile starts from the inside, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. In fact, that is kind of the slogan, because I made the term smile in out, like smiling inside and out. But the slogan with that is happiness starts inside. And that's just the truth. When we look at, what truly brings us happiness is really everything how we feel about ourselves, how we feel about our life at the time. is less to do with external factors. It's definitely more internal.
Absolutely. And tell us about the life coaching then that you do. Is it working with teenagers exclusively?
Yeah, absolutely. Adults, I refer to someone else. No, I really
Okay.
enjoy the teens. Yeah, really high schoolers. So my age range is between the range of 13 to 18. And I mean, it's just a lot of fun. I mean, teens are just awesome. They're reaching that point of independence. So, it's almost like the beginning of their adult life in a teenage, stage. And that's really where you see so much conflict with the parents and the teens, because like the parents still view them as a child, but the teens are viewing themselves as like a young adult who's kind of like starting their own life in a sense. So it can definitely create some conflict in the household, but it's been fun because I've been able to kind of coach parents with their teens and the teens directly.
Awesome. And I want you to tell me, because when I was a teenager, I didn't have any coaching. So I'm very curious, what is it that, I mean, the only coaching I had was from my parents, as most of us have. But of course, the parents, even though they have the best intentions and love, they don't necessarily are very familiar with the modern age. And I suppose, especially now with the internet, social media, it's some parents are not so aware of what's going on, and maybe they can't keep up with the evolving of technology. But my question is really, what aspects or what topics do you coach the teenagers on?
Yeah, I mean, actually, you hit it right there on exactly. I mean, when it comes to parents trying to understand what their teen is going through, they just can't. This is a completely different world. I mean, even when I was a kid, and I'm not that old, we didn't have social media. I mean, that alone, social media alone, creates an entire different dynamic that parents just really don't understand. So there's a lot of pressure for the team. When I was in school, we had pressure in school for whatever, there's bullies and there's peer pressure and there's popularity and all that. When you get home, it's almost like the safe haven. You get the chance to play games, hang out with your siblings, all that. So you kind of get away from it. But not today. I mean, it is 24/7. So social media, the phones, I mean, there's just no way of getting around the pressure of being a teen. So I think, this time in history is very critical for the teens as far as, looking forward for the future. Now, you mentioned as far as the parents and what I do, I'm actually starting a program for the parents. Yes. And it's called Coach Your Teen, because what I found is that parents actually have to take a different role with their teenagers. I would say until 11, teenagers are still, or the kids are still looking at their parents as, the hero in a sense. They still want acceptance from their parents. But, after the age of 11, I mean, it's 100% peers. A parent can tell a child or their teen that you're amazing, you're great, you're perfect the way you are, but it means nothing if they don't get that feeling from their peers. So I think, kind of like you mentioned, I mean, I think teens need life coaches, or at least what I'm trying to do is help parents wear a different hat to start thinking of more coaching as opposed to parenting.
And explain that difference then between how can a parent be more of a coach to the child rather than a parent?
Yeah. So when you think of parenting, think of it as, let's just use an example. So say your teen comes home and there's a rumor that was started around school. So the teen, so your teen is heartbroken, right? So the parent thing to do is to try to fix it. Do I need to call the principal? Like, who started it? I mean, they really want to kind of fix it because they've seen their teen hurt. That's a parent. That's what they're supposed to do. But, what I want to kind of share with them is that, yeah, you could definitely be a parent. You still have that loving, role. But, I guess as they move to teenage, you want to shift the parenting style to more like love and comfort. So in other words, I'm a shoulder to cry on. I'm going to hold you and hug you. But I'm going to allow the teen to try to, lead how they want to pursue to handle the situation. So in other words, for coaches, and you probably, you already know, coaches, we teach skills and tools. Coaches don't give advice. We don't tell you what you should do. We give you tools to help you make the decision that you feel is best for you. And the reason why that's important is because how do we know if we made a bad decision? Because it's impossible to know that, right? Because we don't know what is going to happen in the future. So it's impossible to know if we made a bad decision. You think it may, say for instance, I had some kids who made the decision they tried to vape. That's like a new, big thing. And, a parent could look at that and say, okay, you made a mistake, right? But how do we know that? Because that experience could have turned them off for something future, like maybe in college, and someone tries to give them something else that's a little more dangerous in a sense. They can say, no, I don't want to do that. But if you kind of hold them back and say, oh, you better not do this, or you're going to get in trouble, or all this, then, you know how teens are. I mean, the more you force them to do something, they're going to try to do the opposite. So I think when it comes to coaching is that parents really want to view their teen as a training for adulthood, because I'm telling you, after 18 is done. There's no more control. There's no more like you do what I say. So what better opportunity to train a teen and to equip your teen with tools and skills to handle real life than when they're in high school? I mean, that's the perfect opportunity. And that way you can still be the loving parent that you want to be, because that's what's going to happen long term. When they're 60 and 80, you're still going to love if you're alive, you're still going to love your kids, but you would be able to give them those tools and set a foundation while they're in high school.
Awesome. And you mentioned tools. So tell me, give me a couple of examples of tools that you might use to coach a teenager.
Yeah, so there are several tools that, I use with teens. I think one quick one I can explain is a simply reframing tool. So in other words, a teen is upset for whatever reason from school, maybe with their friends. We really just teach them how to reframe it. So basically reframing is just looking at the same situation just through a different lens. So let's do something very simple. So say for instance, one of your teenagers, try to speak with their teacher after after class. And say for instance, the teacher just kind of blew them off, right? The teenager may be like, okay, my teacher doesn't like me. My teacher is a jerk, whatever. But it could be the teacher had some, didn't hear you. They could have had something else to do. So this reframing tool is actually very important, because it can actually hinder your success in a lot of ways, whether it's success in academics, success in relationships. It can hinder that if you always have this more of this negative, this viewpoint that, someone ignored you. But if you kind of reframe it and say, oh, they didn't hear me, or, oh, they were busy, then it can kind of keep you in this more of a positive state, so you can kind of keep on with your day. So that's a very simple one. But we use tools for goal setting, because I think when you're setting a goal, it's not as simply as hey, I want to do this and go do it. I mean, there's really a process that you want to go through. We have tools for organization. So there's a lot of tools even for confidence, just the type of words you tell yourself, something that I use with parents when I'm helping a parent and a teen is buttons. Somebody press your buttons, because teens and kids, they know how to press their parents' buttons. So when I'm working with the parent is, the question is, why do you have a button? What are you interpreting in your mind to make that action or those words set you off emotionally? So we kind of look at their interpretation, because it's all about the interpretation. So a door slam is, if a teen slams a door and if it just sets you off, you're interpreting that door slam as disrespect, right? But possibly interpret a different way and it won't set you off. So it's different tools that we kind of work on with the parents and the teens, just to kind of help them for adulthood, because that's essentially what, this time of life for them, we should be focusing on.
I love it. And it sounds like the exact tools that you would use in coaching an adult. But I want to ask whether there's any difference in particular in coaching of course they are, but I want your point of view of what's the difference between coaching a a teenager versus coaching an adult? And I also want to ask, sorry, it's two questions in a row. How popular is coaching teenagers in the USA? Because here it's not that well known.
Yeah, so great question. So the first question, the difference between coaching a teen versus coaching an adult is very simple. Parents, and so the parents add a different layer because what I find is sometimes the parents they actually need the coaching as well.
Mm-hmm.
When you're working with teens. So I know that is one, and then also I think too. I'm not sure how much you've done the research. Oh, sorry about that. I'm not sure how much you've done the research as far as the brain development, but believe it or not, a teenager's frontal lobe is not developed. So that actually adds a different, complexity, I guess, to the coaching than of an adult. Because essentially the frontal lobe is important for like decision making, even handling your emotions. That's why the teen would just kind of just lose emotions. I mean, it can be so exaggerated so quickly. It's just because it's not developed yet. So, so that's important. Even that information alone is important for parents to know when we're thinking about button pushing and your interpretation. Because I mean, essentially, a lot of those emotions, I mean, they just really just come out, and a teen is not necessarily trying to be disrespectful or trying to hurt you. It's just that developmentally, the brain is just not there yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I notice that a lot of times, when I'm sharing information with teens and trying to teach them skills, I always keep that in the back of my mind because, I understand that teens make bad decisions, but just decisions you're scratching your head. Like, why did you decide on that? Like, how did you come up with that, decision? So, but part of it's not their fault.
All right. Okay. And about how popular is coaching then in America?
I knew it was another question. So,
you know what? Yeah, that's my bad because I should know better than ask two questions one after the other.
No, it was great. I just sometimes get focused. But no, the second question is it's not popular at all.
Okay.
At all.
Oh, right.
And that is, and that's honestly, I feel like my mission. I need to make this a popular thing. Like I need to get the word out. And what I've known is that there's been several people before me who's kind of attempted the teen space and dabbled a little bit. But, after doing it for a little while, I understand why they kind of push towards something else, because it is very difficult to kind of reach teens on that aspect. Because at the end of the day, personal development for teens is just not even on their radar. That's not their focus. So to try to tell them, hey, you should get a coach who can help you with this, it's almost like you're just another parent. We don't want to listen to it. So yeah, it's definitely it's very difficult. But it's not going to slow me down. I'm gonna keep trying and see if I can kind of help in that area and maybe change some minds.
RJ, your passion and enthusiasm, the way you were describing earlier on about coaching teens, you gave me the impression that it is something that it's popular, it's on a large scale, and it's done all the time. I mean, that's the impression I got, and that's why I had to ask the question. So I really respect this enthusiasm, passion, and the mission that you have with that, because personally, I've only learned and started being coached recently, the last few years of my life. So there was never coaching as such, and I know now how important it is, and that's something that unless you try it, you can't really comprehend how valuable it is in life to have someone to really guide and make you see things from a different point of view, because we are always limited by our own frame of reference, and it takes another person, and a knowledgeable person in this case, to make you look at yourself in a different way, because that's
yeah it's when I first had my experience with being coached before I learned how to be a coach, I felt like it was magic, literally, because I think I'm the type of person that I'm extremely focused and I feel like I really don't need to help, but when I became a coach, we had to be coached, and it was literally magic. I mean, it's like you're trying to think of something and it's like there's no answer, no answer. You talk to a coach and it's just like it's magic. Answer comes, and I think from a more scientific standpoint, I think it's just helping you to switch the size of your brain. I think when more logic is more left brain, and whenever you're talking to someone and a coach is asking you those empowering type questions that makes you think and just like it actually switches you over to your right side, more the creative side of intuition. So it is kind of like magic, when you think of it that way.
In a way, it is, especially when you see the results or some aha moments, some light bulb moments.
Yeah.
It's magic in a way. I agree with you. I'd say I wanted to talk about something else, which is the knowledge business blueprint, the course. So I want to ask you, what's your experience? Why did you enroll in the course in the first place? And what's your experience? And keep in mind that not everyone that listens or watches this has a clue of what it is. So just give your own, pretend that you're speaking to someone that has no idea of what it is.
Yeah. So I'm gonna try to make it more of a shorter version because I can get long-winded.
Absolutely, yes.
So yeah, the Knowledge Business Blueprint, or KBB, is what we call it. So Tony and Dean came up with this idea that knowledge is the new currency. So in other words, there are so many people in this world who are working, they're unhappy at what they are doing, they're not fulfilled, but they have so much inside of them. Everyone, I believe, is a teacher. And then Dean and Tony share the same view, so they created this course for Knowledge Blueprint, the Knowledge Business Blueprint, where they can help you extract that knowledge and turn it in action to a business. So what drew me, what really motivated me to pursue the course was, one, it was Tony and Dean. So I mean, that alone, them two, was like, okay, I'm listening. But I think the second reason was that I was not finding as much success with the coaching as I did with orthodontics. So orthodontics, I had pretty fast success here in Austin, Texas. I was recognized as one of the fastest growing orthodontic practices. And so, I thought I could do the same thing with life coaching teams, and then, it wasn't so fast. So I wanted to join to see if I can get some help from the best who's in the business. And it's been an amazing experience. And I believe a lot of the value is actually from the group itself. I mean, you learn a lot from the course, but the group is just so amazing. There's so much motivation, so many ideas. That's how you and I met. It's been just a great experience. So I would say to a new person who's probably never heard of Knowledge Business Blueprint, it's very simple. Just think of a course that's designed to help you change lives. That's really the goal of it. I mean, there's tools. So they use masterminds and different tools, but the ultimate goal is to help you, individually change lives, because all of us inside of us have something special in us that is designed to solve a problem in the world. And I always call it like the answer, like if you are the answer, right? And we all are the answer to some problem. And this course is designed to help extract that out of you and to start sharing what to start changing lives. And I think it's been an amazing course so far.
Absolutely, and you said about it's the information age, and knowledge is indeed the new currency, because it's so much different than it used to be. I mean, traditional education does not serve in the same way like it used to. Apart from some specialized knowledge, for example, dental school or becoming an orthodontist, you can't really learn to do that online. Not yet, anyway. Who knows?
Not yet.
But for many other things, you can learn much more and more useful things from courses, from online workshops, masterminds, rather than going to college, to university, and doing a degree that won't really ensure not even getting a job that is relevant to that, let alone give you a life of fulfillment. And these things you can only find on a alternative, other educational paths, which is the online parts now. So yeah, it is indeed a fantastic course that has a very big movement around it as well. I think it's over 20,000 people, and it's growing strong.
Yes, yes, and it makes sense why. Like I said, it's a great group.
Absolutely. Ajay, I wanted to ask you some quick fire questions as well, if I may.
Sure.
Let's say you could go back into your, I usually use the question with a 20-year-old self from the past, but because you were talking about teenagers, I will rephrase my question. I'll say, if you could go back in time and meet your teenage self, what kind of advice would you give him to that potentially could change his life?
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't want it to sound cliche, but literally, I would tell my old self to get a coach, or at least ask your mom to find you a coach, without question. Because a lot of things I had to learn the hard way, in a sense. It took a long time to learn a lot that I've learned. It could have been, I could have fast tracked it had I had a coach earlier on. So without question, that would be advice to my old self.
That's brilliant. Fantastic. Let me ask something else. Let's say you had a magic wand and you could change something in the world as it is today. What would that be? One thing.
Man, that's a hard one. See, that's those questions that's moving you to the right brain, because that's a tough one. If I could change one thing in the world, wow, magic wand. I would change, I wouldn't change a symptom. So when I look at symptoms, I would say, violence, drug addiction, there's so much pain, hunger, because, when I say hunger, it's, I believe a lot of the hunger is associated with corruption, because I believe there's, plenty of food to go around in a sense, but it's corruption. So when I look at everything, it's really the person itself. So what I would want to do is have a magic wand and put almost like a new spirit in each person, in a sense, because I think individually is how we're going to change the world. We're not going to change it. And that's what kind of mentioned when I mentioned about everyone has the answer to a problem. I believe that individually we all have something that we can do to fix a problem, in a sense. But it really just starts with us. So if we can kind of fix our inside, then I believe there'll be less problems in the world. So, because I can't really just pick one symptom, man, because there's just so much. Yeah, so much for me to just pick one symptom. Even with animals, the animal abuse, then you got, child abuse. And then, there's just so much. So yeah, I would say just a renewal of the spirit in each person. So I think that's the only thing I would feel that would be useful.
Fantastic. What does personal development mean to you then?
Yeah, so personal development to me is really a commitment to oneself to grow. Unfortunately, we just live in a society where it's all the focus is on external things, whether it's our appearance, accolades, money, just different things like that. But ultimately, it's actually kind of, it's funny, not funny, but it's actually shocking the way it works here. Like as a human, right? We have the ability to create any emotion we want, right? At any point. Like right now, I could just be extremely happy. I could just look at an old picture, on a vacation, I'm happy, right? Those memories. So we have that ability. We have complete control, right? But every single human wants happiness. But somehow we've convinced ourselves that happiness is outside of ourselves. Like it's attached to something. And it's usually we attach it to things we can't get. It's so funny. Happiness is not attached to like a phone. Everybody has a phone. So happiness is attached to something that's out there that we can't even grab. But not realizing that literally we have the control of the happiness inside. And happiness is completely abundant. It's equal rights. Everyone has complete access to it. There's no one can take it away from you. It's all generated inside. So, I would say, that's the thing, it's a big conundrum to me. So personal development to me would be understanding, developing the inside. That's what's more important than that. It's way more important than outside factors. Developing the inside so you can get everything you want. And I actually believe that happiness is actually that's what's going to propel you to the things that you want on the outside. So if you want money, if you want success, if you want to lose weight, I believe it starts with the internal happiness first, and that's your boost. That's going to be your motivator to help you achieve those things. But you have to realize that it starts inside first. So yeah, personal development to me is really developing oneself and understanding the power you really have, inside.
Certainly, and that's something that I would really love most people to understand, that it all starts from inside. It's not out there. Out there is always starts from in here. It's
Yep.
a big topic and difficult to explain to someone that doesn't know. But I wish more people could look into that and comprehend it. Ajay, do you have any quotes that you live by, or something that is your favorite quotes?
Oh yeah, that's another good one. I have a lot of quotes that that guides me in a sense.
Uh-huh.
But I would say for now, one that I've used with a couple of teams recently is that there's a quote that everyone is a student and a teacher. And the reason why I think that quote is important for at least the teams I've been working with recently is it helps you understand the value of everyone. A lot of times, you think that you're in a higher position than someone, or maybe they don't, quite understand. And that goes for parent to teen and teen to parent. But knowing that every person you can learn something from, and every person you can teach something to, so if you have that mindset that, hey, I can learn something from this person and I can share something with this person, then I think it creates, a better experience for interaction and relationships.
Absolutely. Thank you. Ajay, just one last question. Is there anything that you wished I would ask you and I completely missed it?
Oh man, you've been on it. Yeah, maybe it was a question I wish you wouldn't have asked, but no, I think you challenged me on a couple of those questions. So yeah, because I'm sure tonight I'm be thinking about the questions. I'm like, darn it, I should have chose that quote. But it's okay.
I love your energy. It's really spontaneous, and even though you are in America and I'm in the UK, I can get it. It's channels. So thank you very much. How can people connect with you and find out more about you, RJ?
Yeah, so the easiest way is I'm on all social medias. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, all of it. But I have a website. I think it has a lot more information. The website is drrjjackson.com. So it's drrj Jackson, JACKSON.com.
Brilliant.
And then another thing is, I did create the hashtag smile and out. So you can always, hashtag smile, IN, and out, OUT. And you can find a lot of my information out that way too as well.
I'll put those links and the hashtag in the show notes for everyone to follow.
Oh, cool. Thanks.
Easily. Ajay, it was a real pleasure to have you in the show. I really enjoyed our conversation, and you shared some incredible value bombs here. I mean, some things that I really found personal, very interesting, and I think there will be many parents that will benefit from listening to that and getting a different perspective of how to approach a teenager. Thank you very much for being in the show with me today. Appreciate
No, thank you for having me.
I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Okay, you too.
Thank you.